Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by the Dymon I'm for another video. As always, I'm Dymon I'm, and today we're going to be shooting an interview. So I want to go over my typical multicam setup. So that means lights, mics, and other gear that I use and recommend, plus a technique that I use called the Ava method. Let's get it started. All right, y'all, before we get started in earnest, just want to remind everyone that we have a giveaway, actually like 4, so stick around to the end of the video for details on that. If you're digging the content, you want to show your support, you can always like, share, consider subscribing. Check us out on Instagram as well, where we have another giveaway, and yeah, let's get it going. Okay, so this is our typical interview setup. Got a multicam, straight to camera setup. Now, if you want to do something a little bit more traditional, you can, get someone a little bit more off to the side, maybe angle a little bit. You want to shoot to the shadow side, and we'll get into a couple other details like that later. But I want to rehash what I call the Ava model before we get into everything. And the Ava model is something that I use referred to in earlier videos. Don't go back and watch them; not that great a quality. But the A stands for audio considerations, and we have V for visual considerations, and then A again for the action, what happens. Now first, for audio considerations, keep in mind that audio is half, if not more than half, of the video experience overall. Now, why would I say it's more than half? Well, try to think of it this way. If you were watching a video and the audio goes out or it's super quiet, doesn't matter how great the resolution is or how sharp the focus is, right? You're not going to be able to follow what's going on, especially if it's just like a podcast, like a conversation. On the other hand, if you have something you're watching and the video goes out, you can probably still follow. It's really what radio was before television was even invented. I mean, people thought that aliens were invading just because a guy read his screenplay, right? Because it's that important, I would always encourage you to buy a mic as one of the first pieces of gear as a filmmaker, videographer, content creator. We are using a V-Mic D3 Pro from Deity, which is Aputure/Amaran's mic company. We have that going straight to camera with a 3.5. It does not have an XLR output, excuse me. Our second audio, we have the Hollyland Lark M2 going straight to camera. B over here, the reason you want to have 2 is because if anything happens to one of them, or say I get off axis on the shotgun mic or something, you want to be able to switch to this microphone. Say I'm over here doing something, and hopefully I got a good angle so that was noticeable. Next, we have the visual considerations, and you might think about lighting first because that's the funnest gear to buy, but the first thing you want to consider is your framing. Before you even turn on a single light or bust out a single stand, set your camera down, set your B cam down, slider if you're doing it, and find your frame. One of your shots should have some visual interest related to your subject or the interview and the conversation. As we kind of parallax across the view, you do catch pieces of the studio, my stand rack, some of the wall stands. But if you don't have anything, you can always rely on lighting. Whether you get a nice gobo and a projector mount going on the background, or maybe some barn doors with a classic slash. Can't go wrong with the slash. Now, lighting. I have a key. We're going to go through these one by one. Now, for our top-down light, we've got the Amaran 60XS with a small strip box coming down with a grid so we don't have a ton of spill. And for our edge coming in from this side, we've got the PT4C. Now, this is the one light that we've got set to tungsten, a warmer light, 3200 degrees, to match our practical light back here. Next, we have our key light. This is going to be your brightest light. For us, it's the Amaran 200XS, and we've got a 90 centimeter softbox on it. This looks great. You might be able to get away with this, but I'm going to come in with a lantern softbox on the 100XS. Now this is just to bring up the shadows and to kind of even out that contrast. That way you can see more details in the shadows to give a little bit more of a realistic look. So finally, let's talk about the action. What happens in your film or your video or your content? You don't necessarily have to script out everything word for word, although that might be what you prefer. If so, check out some teleprompters. They do make them even for phones. I prefer to write out bullet points just because I like a more improvisational flow, and I would much rather cut that up and shorten it later than try to get everything exactly right, because that'll take me a million takes, and it has. But whatever you do, don't just wing it. I happen to have this miniature rolling light stand, and so I can use my iPad as a monitor, edit on it, I keep my script on it, super convenient. I've only seen one company that makes one of this height. This one actually gets up to like 60 inches. It's a company called Ambitful. I love those Chinese, I think they're from China. Their names are always slightly conjugated differently. Instead of ambitious, it's ambitful. Instead of well-made, it's well-making. They must misconjugate things the way like we misspell things to be cool. I don't know. Oh, hey, you're still here. Right on. Well, hey, if you're digging the content, maybe consider like, share, subscribe, or not. Just putting it out there. Now, before we wrap up, I want to talk about 3 real important things that have totally streamlined my setup, made everything a lot easier to work with. First, get some wall mount gear. I've got a wall mounted boom. I have 2 baby wall plates that come out from the ceiling. I've mounted my backdrop to the ceiling right above us. You can't see, but it's right above us here. But that way, things that are always in the same place or things that would have to go close to a wall, you don't have to worry about it. A stand taking up floor space, mounting something to the wall and the ceiling. Peak studio experience. Next, I upgraded from like the cheapo photo studio light stands to some stainless steel cinema quality stands. Now, Impact does make some light stands, the like LS8 and LS10 and stuff. This is heavier duty than that. This is kind of more along the lines of Kupo or even Matthews, and I use a company called Pro-Aim. Finally, the thing that's improved my experience and I think my shooting game the most are monitors. Especially if you're someone who doesn't have someone behind the camera, a monitor is going to be your best friend. On my A-cam, we've got a Portkeys standard camera monitor. So probably you guys can find a bunch of really great stuff like that on Amazon. I'm going to talk about the selfie monitor that I use on my B cam. It's the new MOA, or actually I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a little selfie monitor. It connects via Wi-Fi just like you're casting to your TV. It's perfect. Now, if you don't want to go for something battery powered or you want to save a little money, they also make a mirror monitor, which attaches via the cold shoe mount on top of your camera or your phone mount. And it's perfect. You don't have to charge it up or anything. But yeah, that's my interview setup. I go with this simple 4-light setup, all from Amaran. I do have a bunch of other lights that I can use for backup or support, especially if I'm in a larger space than my little teeny tiny 1-bedroom apartment here in Phoenix. Ladies, it's not that teeny tiny, I promise. Hey, you stuck around to the end of the video. Right on. Let's talk giveaway details. So first, how do you win? I'm gonna pick a random share notification, and as long as that person is subscribed, that's our winner. Now, we're on the road to 500 subs, but I way underestimated how long it would take to get us there. So instead of waiting all the way to 500, we're doing prizes at 100, 200, 350, and 500. At 100, we move the old prize up to the very first spot. So that's your content creator kit, the RGB tube light, RGB pocket LED, the extendable selfie stick, really fun kit. At 200, we got an RGB softbox, 2x3, very similar to the one from Mount Dog you see everyone recommending on YouTube, but RGB. At 350, we got another softbox bicolor this time, lantern style. They both come with stands, but I believe this one's like 10, 12 feet, and the other one's like 8 or 10, something like that. And then lastly, at 500, the whole shebang. That's the tube light, the pocket LED, the 2x3 softbox, the lantern softbox, and a tripod. So don't forget to share and sub for your chance to win and to show your support for the channel, obviously. Okay, that does it. Oh, one last thing before we wrap up. I'm actually shooting an ad right now for Ulanzi. They're like trying to think of a new model for their next ad campaign, and I've got a really good one. So if you want to check out the ad when I drop it in the next couple days, maybe like, share, all that good stuff, I would super duper appreciate it. No big deal if not, but yeah, if you dig making videos, if you dig watching videos about making videos, then I dare say you've found your clan. It was good to see you. It's always good to have you, and we'll catch you next time here at the Dymon Mine. Peace.